Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets, guys. Happy Monday. We're going to have a great start to the week. It's a big week for markets. I don't think we have any, macro events per se, but just kind of looking at market structures across the board, the way the markets have been trading here over the last few weeks, it definitely seems like this turn that we're headed into the month of April. And of course, the end of March is going to be very important for not just the coins, but of course, equity markets as well. But I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Chef Jackus and of course, Max. Welcome, guys. I hope that, like I said, everybody had a great weekend. Was able to get your mind off the charts. I mean, we kind of joke about how nothing really happens over the weekend, very much like the Chud Jack meme. We did get a bit of some red kind of across the board in crypto that has now been scooped up. Markets are green, or at the very least, Bitcoin and ETH are green. Are they front running a potential bottom in equities? I know that these are things that we will talk about on this show and, of course, throughout this week. But before we can get into that, guys, before I can get too deep talking about certain assets, really across the board, I'm going to ask you guys to hit the like button for me. And I know the day is still young, right? So maybe we go from red to green back to red. Maybe this is the beginning of a reversal. Either way, I'm going to need you guys to do whatever you need to do to justify hitting that like button for us, whether you're frustrated at the price action, whether you are excited that we have flipped red to green, or whether you are just the enjoyer and you enjoy any market condition. If you could hit the like button for us, we're always very appreciative when you guys do that. But yeah, let's get into the price action, right? I mean, Bitcoin's up 1%. ETH is up about 2%. They were kind of showing a good bit of weakness over the weekend. Is this the beginning of a reversal potentially? I guess we'll have to see. But I mean, we kind of been making the comments. A lot of it has to do with what equity markets are going to do. And obviously, kind of heading into this week, we sold off very aggressively on Friday. And you often hear that that statement, right? Markets don't bottom on a Friday. Well, we had a bit of a puke on equities this morning. The VIX spiked all the way to 24. At least that's what I saw. Maybe this is the sign that we are getting close to a reversal in equities as well. So I do think that that's probably going to dictate a lot for the coins. But yeah, I mean, we're already seeing things like the DJI attempt to flip green. The S&P has, I think, taken back about half of its losses on the day. But really, the tell is always going to be what tech does. But yeah, we'll be monitoring the cues as well throughout. We'll be monitoring the coins, like I said. But let's go ahead and get into the discussion, right? Because I think I don't want to ramble for too much. I do think it's a really big week for markets across the board here, coming into levels where maybe they're bouncing, maybe they're going to be reaccumulating. I guess we'll have to see what they do behaviorally speaking. But these are good levels. We've consistently maintained that. And I think that's that you should be seeing bottoms begin to form, right? When you look at things like Bitcoin and ETH, unable to break their lows from a few weeks ago, despite they were trading into them. We do have some altcoins that, again, they look like they want to begin trending on a multi-week basis. But what are we seeing, guys? How was your weekend? Because I feel like it's been a long time since I've actually asked that question. I usually have been just kind of saying, yeah, what do you guys see in the markets? But I used to ask you guys what or how your weekend was pretty much like every Monday.
Good morning, everybody.
Panic.
Oh, sorry, Jack.
I'm seeing panic and extreme fear everywhere, and bearish tweets and bearish accounts who missed the bottom in 2022 and coped all the way up, currently trending, and I find good odds to be positioned counter trend against that. And we are still in the bottoming process, in my opinion, unless we are entering a wild recession right here.
Hang on. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay, my internet's being super weird. My like Twitter wasn't loading, so I was like, I don't know if they can even see me on the screen anymore. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Jackus. I'm not exactly seeing the imminent multi-year recession data show its head right now. I guess there's always a possibility that it's there and we just don't know about it yet, but I suppose it really feels more like the worst case scenario of these Trump tariffs being priced in, the assumption, which makes perfect sense, of, I mean, let's just say in the simplest of terms, right? US puts a 25% tariff on European automobiles. So anybody in the US, that wants to buy a BMW or an Audi or something like that, is those cars that are getting imported are going to be, more expensive. So inflation is going to move up, consumer spending is going to drop. If people stop spending, then, we have layoffs because businesses are struggling. And then when people get laid off, then there's a recession, right? So it's like the big domino chain of effects. But I think what you're seeing right now is like that absolute worst case scenario being priced in, which of course takes a long time to actually settle in. But yeah, I mean, I think that's really Louis. What's going on,
What's up,
Mr.
boys?
Meat Stick?
Oh wait, meat sticks here.
Meat Stick himself.
Meat
yeah,
Stick
it's-
Monday.
I think it's just a situation where, like, the absolute worst case scenario is being priced in, and obviously it hasn't happened yet. And it's possible we get the worst case scenario, but it's also possible that we can snap back pretty hard because maybe things won't actually be that bad, right? And I guess we'll probably have to wait until April 2nd, which is being called Liberation Day, to find out if we're actually going to be liberated or if we're going to be liberated from our money. Time will tell. But here's what I keep going back to. I was talking to our community about it this morning. I can't remember what year they first took effect, but it might have been like 100 years ago. Up until like the past, 100 years, right? The most lucrative form or the primary source of federal government revenue came from tariffs. The US taxing other countries and creating profitable trade. And then some wars happened, and some genius had the idea for personal income tax, which ended up ultimately replacing, an external revenue service or just tariffs that were the main driver of federal government revenue, and replacing it with income tax. So, like, what we're seeing right now is very little to zero talk about a reduction in federal income tax for US citizens. So, what we're seeing right now is the assumption of inflation going up, consumer spending slowing, and no easing of taxation on the income side or corporate side, which, by the way, I would think it's a fair assumption that that is coming. That's the ultimate goal, is like Doge is slashing all this federal waste. And then you also have all these tariffs that are going into effect. So it's like you reduce waste, you increase federal government revenue by taxing, other countries, all for what goal, right? Like, what's the ultimate goal? I would have to think it has something to do with, corporate and personal tax breaks, but maybe that's a giant assumption. And maybe the Trump administration is actually planning to use this new external taxation, tariffs, to further his administrative plans in a different capacity than just giving, income tax breaks and corporate tax breaks. I don't know, right? There hasn't been any talk about it, but I can only assume that's why we're doing all this. At least I hope that that's the sort of, they're playing it close to their chest right now. But that's my hope, right? And maybe that's a pipe dream, maybe it doesn't actually happen, but I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's kind of what I'm hoping for personally.
Well, I think what they should definitely do that, because that would keep more money in consumer pockets, and that will increase the spending. I think we'll obviously have to judge at the end of the 4-year term, not at the first month, which is stupid. And unfortunately, that's what most people are doing. I think that what he's doing will be tough shorter term and very good longer term.
I agree. I think, the more I kind of think about it, there will absolutely be kind of these unforeseen growing pains because, I mean, America hasn't really enacted anything similar since like the early 1930s. So global trade, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some short-term pain, but I think as a whole, you're starting to see not just America, but also China and Russia kind of take out what I believe is a little bit more isolationist policies, while they are simultaneously trying to accumulate as many resources, both commodity driven as well as geographical, in going over like the next 1 to 2 decades, right? I mean, you have America talking about adding Greenland, you have China wanting to retake Taiwan, and I think a much less discussed point as well is you have Russia that's kind of been quietly prospecting Kazakhstan and obviously Ukraine.
Yeah, the decade of commodities, and that I've been banging on this for the past 2-3 years, maybe even more, is that it is truly unfolding right now. We are seeing that gold currently hit the highest monthly return since 2020, up more than 10%, which for an asset of its market capitalization, may not sound like much, but that's that's huge because gold is by far the largest asset class. The second one close to it is Nvidia with like 3 trillion market cap, and gold has 22 trillion market cap. So it's a clear bull market that I've been banging on for a long while. People kept saying, oh no, it's overbought, oh there is an FEG, we must come back down to fill. And in reality, the forest for the trees was what I was saying, that central bankers are replacing their balance sheets and making changes in their percentage portfolio of their holdings, changing the ratios. And this is not something that will last for a month or a year. This is a decade-long play. Central bankers don't have a time horizon. They are playing very long time frames, infinite time horizon, the only entities that do so. And or mainly. And so yeah, you will see this buy pressure for a long time. That said, obviously locally it can be topped. It can be after such a move you will see a slowdown, pullback potentially, sure, but gold has entered, in my opinion, a multi-year bull market, and that is the fact. And I think silver and copper are following through right now, and are yet to show its teeth. I think lots of people are still missing on that. I still think both of those are still early, and the demand for EVs and AI chips and phones and computers is only going to rise and increase, and it is. So I think this is what's happening. And by the way, to me, and I've been saying this for a while, Bitcoin is a digital commodity more than anything. And BTC has the lowest market cap of them and will appreciate the most.
Jack, am I allowed to call a local top on gold soon?
I think it's very much possible. I wouldn't try to do that. I mean, it's fun. Or
not that
I'm
trying to short it or anything. I was just kind of looking at it a little more closely over the last few days.
No, listen, again, we had the largest monthly gain on gold since 2020. And so while we might see a follow through in April, I think likely the first 14 days of April, we could see a top in gold and bottom in equities. So I would tend to agree with you.
I like the buyback we're starting to see in equities, and yes, it is only Monday. It's a little bit early, and obviously we have, Liberation Day, as it's been called, on the 2nd of April. But I do think in general we're looking at some pretty big bounces coming on equities, just given how kind of elevated the put skew has been trading over the last few weeks. And even despite that, we didn't see the VIX really break out above that 24, 25 level today. I thought that, it opened a lot higher than I thought it would coming into this week.
Tommy, what are your expectations of the VIX from here? Maybe over the next, let's just say like 30 to 45 days heading into the first half of Q2.
I mean, I would say I expect it to come down a little bit. I don't know if it's quite going to head back down to like 14 or 15 yet, but at the very least, I think it can come down enough to give equities a real rally, potentially. But I could see, still another stab higher during like May. And then I think you would probably see a bit more of a prolonged correction on it.
I don't watch the VIX super closely. What do you think of this little gap fill right here? Do these play on the VIX? Do they matter?
They've been. We came right into a level I had marked.
Because that's kind of a nice little gap fill there. But
yeah, they've been playing for sure.
Yeah, I want to say they do, Phil. I think I want to say we almost had like a gap back in the 2020 COVID. Maybe if you go to like the 4 to 8 hour, I'm not sure. I could just be talking out of my butt here, but I feel like we had one, and then that random August wick filled it, but maybe not. At the very least, there was some FEGs up there that just got filled on that wick.
Are you talking about the COVID? So this was COVID.
Yeah, like I want to say they left a gap maybe in like the 60s or the 50s, and then the wick in August ended up taking that liquidity at the maybe not like a gap down, but FEGs at the very least got filled.
Yeah, looks pretty clear. Like it definitely trades off gaps because I'm looking at this right here, and it's like perfect fills. Like whenever there's a gap, it like totally fills it.
Yeah, it plays up gaps and liquidity for sure. The way I've been tracking it over the last couple months.
I might be missing it, but I don't know if I see one that was left yet. Doesn't mean it's not there. I could definitely.
I'm sure there are some gaps that are created from like specific structured products, because you can't actually, like, the VIX isn't actually a tradable asset. It's more a derivative of volatility kind of across the board. So I'm sure it's like you could probably find the gap or find whatever liquidity they went to go hunting on any given day on specific products, probably.
Well, right? How about this? How about this one? Look at this beautiful fill right here. This was in 21, but it's like, look at, we just like nuked from here and then came up, perfect fill, That's kind of nice. They clearly trades off gaps. Like, looking at this quickly, no question about it. I mean, look at this one too right here. I mean, come on now.
They usually fill and die. Like, it fills, it just gets crushed. So,
like, just scrolling through this, there's so many examples.
Yeah, I like the level where we bounced into and rejected today for sure. I didn't think we were going to come there, but we did. So now send it lower.
That's nice. Yeah, we need it, man. We need a little bit of relief here. I was saying this morning that the bounce that we got on the S&P 500, I don't feel as though that was a sufficient like dead cat bounce. If we are going to roll over, which at this point, like, we'll see what Liberation Day brings, I guess. But this is pathetic, man. Like, we don't, how long it typically takes for like the S&P 500 to roll over? Like, it will typically, I mean, you'll get some real convincing bounces. It'll be like, like up here and then like here and then like again. Like, it typically, if we are going to roll over, like, we call it the banker bounce, right? Where Nancy Pelosi gets to sell all of her stocks and they really convince you that we're so back. The only time we haven't done a huge bounce is like, well, I guess a couple times, COVID. And then when we don't really actually pull back that hard, it's just like a quick technical correction. You don't need a huge banker bounce. But like if you're going to get some big, multi-year correction, like you're going to spend weeks rolling over. Like look at these huge bounces, man. Like look how aggressive they are. The little thing we've had right now, I mean, it's like nothing, Yep. This is probably where you want to be careful, but like I really think kind of in confluence with what the VIX is doing, this is the spot to bounce. Truly. Just swept the low of last week early, kind of nice. Rolling over into Q2, kind of nice. Horrible Q1. Sentiment literally in the gutter, kind of nice.
Yeah.
Why not?
Look at every single time we kind of made like a big drop. Like you get the bottom and then you get the rollover and then you get, like if you look at every little drop, like more recently granularly, that's what happens. This is what bottoms look like. Everyone gets super bearish on the first drop. You get a little mini bounce. Everyone gets bullish again. The second drop is the real sentiment killer. They're like, oh, we're rolling over. And then you shoot up. So like right now we got a little local double bottom. We swept the lows. Beautiful stuff going into a new month. Sentiment was deep in the crapper. And a lot of alts look exactly like this as well. I put that in the Discord this morning. I'm just getting to my desk, but just taking a quick glance across the board, a lot of alts are making like nice double bottoms or higher lows, right? Off the climbs we've seen thus far off the lows. Like this is what bottoms are made of, man. This is, it's like you make that official low, you crawl up, you start to roll back over, and that second little drop, like we saw this weekend, really gets most people, right? And gets sentiment absolutely horrible. And then you either make a double bottom, you sweep your low, or you make a higher low, and you continue to climb off the low. And I'm seeing that across the board. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I think we're set up for a nice rally. Nothing has changed.
Let me ask you guys this. I want to ask specifically Louis and Jackus because you guys know more about this ticker than I do. I'm seeing, and I'm sure that you guys are seeing as well, because I'm sure we follow a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people out there calling for XRP significantly lower. I'm not talking about $1.90, $1.80. I'm talking about $1.20 and below. And by the way, some of these guys I have a lot of respect for, like good traders, decent track records, right? Like nothing bad to say about them. But it's a little strange to me where I can kind of see both sides where I'm like, this is like we pumped like crazy. We're moving sideways. The rest of the market pulled back. XRP is just kind of sitting there. Is it lagging? Is it truly showing strength? I'm not even going to really share my opinion. Like I don't really know, right? I kind of see both sides. But Louis and Jack, you've been pretty spot on with XRP for a while, both of you. I'm sure you've seen some of these takes. Maybe you haven't. Maybe it's just my profile.
Everywhere.
But what do you guys think about XRP here? Like, do you think it's strong or do you think it's lagging the rest of the market to the downside?
You want to go first, Jackus?
No, you go first.
Okay. I don't think it's lagging. I've talked about this in the past. We've been off, like ETH capitulated pretty much in the first week of February. We're in the last day of March. So like we're almost 2 months after ETH kind of had that first capitulation low, and has continued to trade lower. If XRP was lagging, it would have dropped by now, right? It wouldn't have, 2 months to go by, and to not, and to continue to show strength and hold up. That's not a laggard. That's a sign of strength. And it's just, in my honest opinion, I think it's just cope, right? It's, damn, my tokens are all down bad. I never gave XRP, the time of day. So because all my tokens are down, XRP must go down, right? I think it's cope, right? 2 months holding up market structure, and a literal decimation of the crypto market is not a laggard. It's a sign that there's an extreme bid and there's extreme, demand for this asset, right? And it's plain and simple. So yeah, I'm in the belief that I believe it's cope. This rally was a hated rally to begin with, right? No one thought XRP was going to move off the lows, and I've never seen a token that people I've never seen so many people wish for a token to drop, right? I've never seen something like this.
You should
Bitcoin
you should see my DMs right now.
Well, yeah, of course. But, Bitcoin maxis are throwing fits. And now it's like everyone else who's in altcoins are throwing fits because they're like, what do you mean? This is XRP. Like, there's no way it could be this strong and all my other tokens are down bad. Well, you haven't been paying attention for the last 6 to 8 months. But I think it's a lot of cope. I think it's people that are bored in this market and they're thinking they have an easy short here on a laggard, where if it was a laggard, it would have dropped weeks ago or months ago. At this point, it's obviously clearly strong, but it does need to hold, this $1.80, $2 level, right? You don't want to see that level lost. If you do, you probably see a bigger pullback. But I mean, if we haven't gotten it by now, and it looks like alts and ETH are going to kind of start to rally off the lows, you're not going to see that happen in XRP drop, right? You're just going to see XRP continue on, and it's probably going to go to $5 from here. So that's my thoughts. I think XRP is just going to continue to be a hated rally all the way up.
You cooked, Louis. All right, Chef. What do you think?
Well, I still do not understand why people would try to short the strongest, more crimed asset in the market.
You say the most crime.
Yeah. Well, maybe not the most, but definitely lots of crime in it. And why would people try to short that one if they are betting on the market downside? Not at the same time, not understanding that if XRP were to drop to $1, you are likely going to see Bitcoin at 50 or lower. So I find that crazy. Like, people lots of the times do not know what those implications would mean. And I understand that some may view this as a distribution, and I think nobody can tell you realistically ahead if it is one or not. All we can do is assign probabilities, but given how it held till now, the only way this becomes a distribution is if we are heading into a wide macro recession, a long-lasting bear market. And in that case, you will see NVIDIA not at 100, but at 50. You will see Bitcoin sub 50K. You will see XRP, probably down there. But as of right now, I find it crazy. And I think lots of people are not getting one and one, like they are mixing apples with oranges. Listen, guys, we are at an extreme fear that have not been seen since the 2022 lows. It's either, again, in my opinion, it's a bottoming process all around, unless it's a recession, and that would be a long while one. And in that case, if people believe in that recession stuff, I still think we need to see more from the markets. I think we need to break key levels, which we have not. And until then, I will tend to think what the market is telling me, and that's continuation of the bull market. And the thing is, even if it truly is a recession, I still think we would get a sizable bounce from the current levels all around.
I didn't see a coin with more short setups this weekend than XRP. Like, it was actually kind of wild how many people were bear posting it. I haven't really been trading it quite as much myself, so I won't give too strong an opinion on anything. But usually when that happens, everybody's kind of talking about shorting the exact same coin that's been arguably the strongest in the market. We have a pretty good idea of what tends to happen next. I'll actually liken the market structure on XRP to something like I saw Trader XO talking about XRP over the weekend. He related it to Matic, And I know he related it for that reason, or for the reason of it's going to create some great shorts. And I think he's right. At some point this year, XRP is going to be a great short, maybe from these levels. I'm personally not shorting at these levels, but I kind of liken this. I mean, it's like a bouncing ball, and then it turns into another like big squeeze higher. I mean, I've seen Matic print this pattern over and over and over again, at least in like 2023 and 2022, maybe even 2024 at times. I've seen a very similar setup on that coin.
Just
If we're
it makes
comparing
no
to Matic,
sense.
where
It
would
makes
we?
no.
Sorry, I was just gonna say where would we see this at, Tommy? I don't
You'd
mean
have
to
to go
cut you.
much lower time frame.
Like zoom. Like, is he talking about like up in here?
No, I just mean like the structure that we're seeing on XRP. Like you can look in 2022 and 2023, although not cyclically similar for XRP. Like we've seen this setup a lot play out where you're gonna have to look more so in like 2022 and 2023, where it prints. Yeah, it just prints kind of like this sideways choppy price action, gets people very bearish on it, and then you just have like a big move higher. I don't know. I mean, there are a few instances that I was looking at over the weekend, something like that, right? But I'm just not in a rush to short something like XRP at these levels, right? Because I think if you're expecting it to, the strongest coin in the market, to break down from the current levels, you have to understand the context of where majors are probably trading, if that's the case.
I mean, hey, if it did this, that wouldn't be so bad. I mean, that's like it's like $5 or $6. Nice little 3x from here. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Jack, because I didn't mean to cut you off. You were going to say something before. I just wanted to understand the Matic comparison a bit.
No worries. Just that, shorting here just makes no sense. You are shorting at the range lows and you want to wait for the breakdown. And I would say, yes, if the breakdown were to come, you want to be out of the market, like hold no biases. Yeah. But until then, I find it stupid.
Yeah, you have to understand also, like you have to realize the holder base of this token, right? Like the people that hold this token that were buying, in that lower area, like your 40 to 50 cents range, like those are people that were, bullish on this token for years without any signs of hope, right? Like,
dude, it's the ultimate gold, Louis.
Yeah, the people that hold XRP at this point, if they're in and they weren't chasing the pump, aren't selling here. Like,
are they ever gonna sell, Louis?
No.
I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I tell you, they're not going to sell here because they know what they hold. And I understand crypto. It's the joke. It's like there's no utility. Everything's a scam. But I think really people are really missing the bigger picture here. And like we are moving into a world where cryptos will have utility, and these things will have use cases. And I think people are missing that as well. But you kind of have to realize like who holds this token. Right. This isn't like your meme coin that went to 1 billion overnight and people forget about it a couple of weeks later. This is something that people have believed in for years. And it's just now finally starting to get off the ground. These people aren't selling here. They're selling much, much higher because they know what they hold. Right. And I'm one of them. Right. My average entry on XRP is like 39 cents. Right. Like I'm not selling here. I haven't sold a single XRP. Right. We start getting to that $5, $6, $7, up into towards the $10. Yeah, sure. I might be interested in taking some profits, right? But until then, like this is nothing. And just like Jack has said, if XRP is gonna fall, then the whole market's fucked, right? And the people that are wanting it to fall, maybe they flipped bearish already and they're coping that the XRP hasn't, where all their tokens are down. I'm not really sure, but I think it's going to continue to be a most hated rally. Most people will continue to miss it.
Yeah. Listen, XRP lower is once again ETH at 3 digits, BTC sub 50K, NVIDIA at 50, SPX sub 5,000. Like pick your winners, but you cannot have both, right? You cannot have SPX at new highs and XRP lower, BTC lower. It just doesn't work that way. So it would have to be like the only way XRP drops on its own would have to be some detrimental issue related to its, to itself. But instead, all I'm seeing is bullish catalysts coming for it, and obviously, is that some crime involved? Absolutely, but it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Again, this is absolutely bad take. If you or like, yeah, if you held XRP for 7 years, opportunity cost. If you saw the opportunity when we were saying it late last year,
Ah,
Oh
Oh,
shit.
we lost him.
he got
He's out.
rugged.
He
The
got rugged.
globalists don't want Jackus to talk about Ripple.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But
We'll
yeah,
get
I
him
would,
back.
I would
We'll get
agree
him
with
back.
that take on opportunity cost. Like if you were just holding XRP for the last 6-7 years, then yeah, like it took a long time and you'd missed out on a lot of opportunities. But that's why you always got to stay diversified, right? Like you never should be going all in on one thing.
they
No matter how much.
Chef, they rugged you.
reptilians got me.
All right, what were you saying? You were gonna counter the argument that there was is bad opportunity cost to hold XRP, I think.
Yeah, again, it all comes to timing, of course. So if you were holding it for the past 7 years, never took any profit or so, then obviously probably not the best.
Yeah.
But if you manage to get in the right time, you have outperformed the rest. I still think XRP, under the circumstance we are not entering a recession, offers here decent outsized returns for a major. But obviously, you will likely always outperform it on the overall at the end at some point with a low cap. Of course, you will always do that due to the market capitalization nature. Obviously, timing will play a big issue too. So as we all know, BTC bottomed in 2022, but it wasn't really until September or October 2023 till alts began to pump. I'm not saying we have the same time frames here, but the risk is likely to flow from BTC to XRP and so forth.
Tether dominance looks a little bit toppy here. What do you guys think?
I think I just
sorry, this is just not true. Like, have you opened up XRP BTC chart? It's just not true.
Here, I'll do it real quick. Look, it's been
Like
very
the
difficult
guy's
to
lying.
outperform Bitcoin this cycle. I think that's your point, right? Because like Bitcoin dominance has been basically up only, but there have been some altcoins that have done pretty damn well against Bitcoin. Not all of them, right? Not the basket yet, but I mean, if you do look at XRP here, this is the weekly time frame. I won't even take the Pico low. Let's just say like anywhere in the middle that you bought from like, beginning of last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still up 3x, right? Even if you didn't buy into the low, right?
Yeah.
If you want to argue and say, well, over the past, 4 years, then yeah, this is range high, that's range low.
Well, you're still at the range high. So if you
you're not
bought in the
down.
middle, even in the past, what is it, 4 years, 5 years, you have still outperformed. Just saying.
Going back to
not saying that is
2019,
not saying that was the smart decision to do. Just saying, if you did so, you still have
going back to
outperformed.
2019, you've basically been like going toe for toe with Bitcoin, more or less, like depending where you bought it, right? Which by the way is pretty rare. Like most altcoins are destroyed against Bitcoin over 5 years. Most, not all, but most. XRP has done tremendously well. It did struggle last cycle because of the SEC case.
Yeah, obviously.
But I mean, objectively speaking, like it's not been too bad. And here, I'll tell you this right now, we're talking about that. And by the way, I'm not like super into XRP or anything. I'm just like objectively looking at the chart. if the thing ends up going up here this cycle, which maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. I mean, that's a pretty big move against Bitcoin, which we can all assume is probably going to keep moving higher. I mean, that's another 3x from here. So it's a unique setup, right? Like if there was ever a cycle for XRP to really, really perform well, it's probably right now, right? It's like free and clear. They've aligned themselves with the president. The SEC dropped their case. Like, when else would it rip? You know,
Yeah,
when else is it going to go crazy?
It's go time.
Like it's genuinely this cycle, or it probably doesn't happen. You know, I don't know why it wouldn't be now.
And I love the sentiment. I love that it's like everyone is like
an revenge shorting.
Yeah, everyone's like it only makes sense to go down. Like and XRP is held up so well and is like 4 or 5x off the lows. Like that just tells me that this thing is not stopping here, man. Like this is not stopping.
Can I show you two? Can I show you two a chart that I watch pretty closely? This is the only chart that I think is going to bleed for right now. The only XRP pair chart that I think is going to lose. All right.
Against Pepe.
Yeah, I do. It's starting to break down right now. I've been watching this thing very, very closely for a while. When it finally broke out over here, XRP went crazy. When it broke down over here, Pepe went crazy. We're starting to see it break down right here. Here, I'll pull up Pepe and we'll pull up XRP. The pair chart works incredibly well for XRP Pepe because it's basically your premier like meme utility pair chart. Like that's kind of what it is for this cycle. Okay.
Yeah.
So the pair chart actually works incredibly well. It's helped me kind of stay clear, you know, or just have some more clarity on like when these moves happen. But let's look at it like this. It drives me crazy that I have to multiply Pepe by like 100,000 to get it in log mode on trading. I don't understand why that's an error. Like it's just a ticker. Just put it in log. But anyways, so right here, XRP Pepe breaks down. Put it in green. And right here is Pepe USD. And then over here, I'll put it in blue. XRP Pepe breaks up. And you can see right here. And it just so happened to line up with like the Coinbase listing. Like, so Pepe actually was one of the few coins pumping during that XRP pump because it got listed on Coinbase. But you can see that, you know, it started to rip, right? So now what are we seeing again for the first time since, you know, November? We're seeing Pepe we're seeing XRP Pepe start to break down and bleed. So I'm not suggesting that XRP is going to nuke. I'm just saying I think Pepe can like make a big move here. It wouldn't surprise me to see this pair bleed back down here to this red line, like 60% over the coming quarter or two. But other than that, every pair chart looks pretty good with XRP. This is the only one that I can see that I see kind of breaking down right here, or at least starting to roll over.
Are you ever using Pepe XRP rather than XRP Pepe? Because I think I kind of like it more the other way around, as it's sort of like alt BTC pair. So you like have the higher market cap coin as a second, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously same chart, but you're probably right. It looks pretty clear this way too.
Yeah.
So like, if this chart goes up, Pepe outperforms, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could agree with that. I could see where Pepe outperforms at least in the near term after getting crushed. You know, and they'll both go up, but
yeah.
Good thing I hold a lot of both.
What? You hold both? No, you have to be all in one ticker, Louis. Otherwise, you're an idiot.
Yeah, man. That's the funny thing, man. It's like people just decide to call you out on like one thing. Like, meanwhile, like I hold so many things that are like, it's just fun. I just laugh, man. It's so funny. The creatures are out on Twitter lately, man.
Dude,
you should see
my DMs these days. Oh my God.
I'm not cherry picking. Like I mean, I cherry picked it when I delivered it to you, I suppose. Like I cherry picked when I started to talk about it. I understand that, XRP bros who have held it for 7 years,
Yeah.
they have have they underperformed, right? Once again, if you're gonna go back to the XRP BTC chart, Max, if you can kindly do so, then even
Best for you, anything.
probably even people who held for a long time, they have still outperformed. If you are to zoom out, just saying, depending on where you bought. If you bought in 2014 at the at a decent level, somewhat, you are still higher up. Like, you are higher than the mid range. So if you were not a top buyer, then you have outperformed Bitcoin for the past 10 years. But I understand that there are always better or worse buys, and I always try personally to give the better time buys.
It's
We've said
literally been doing nothing against Bitcoin since 2014. Like, it just, I mean, there's been huge moves, but like, you're basically at your mid range. Like, if you just want to split the difference and be like, okay, maybe somebody bought some up here, maybe they bought some down here, maybe they bought some here, you know what I mean? Like, those people aren't like trading their buys, they're just like DCAing. The assumption is like you're around your midpoint of this giant, decade long range.
Yeah.
You're basically treading water against Bitcoin. And if you happen to make a move up this cycle, nice trade, right? But I mean, this is like, I mean, look at this shit, man. Look at like ADA BTC. Like, I think XRP looks better than all
Far
these other
better.
ones. You know,
that reminds me of the ohm chart before it went to zero.
this does.
Yeah, I don't even know why I was looking at the ohm chart over the weekend, but if you guys played that coin in 2021, it's been kind of having like a mini resurgence here over the last few weeks. You're not going to be able to see the full price history, unfortunately, on TradingView, just on Deck Screener. But yeah, it along with the Barachain launch, it's having a bit of a mini revival, but it's still down like horrendously from the highs with a market cap that is still pretty high. But yeah, the ohm chart kind of did something like what ADA did, and then it just went to zero. But we've kind of talked about this before on a more like on topic conversation, right? Like, altcoin outperformance against Bitcoin is entirely about timing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works in your favor. Obviously, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to pretty much exclusively timing. And in the case of XRP BTC, as Jackus was pointing out at the time, XRP BTC was trading near basically historical range lows. So that was a good time, obviously, to buy in. But on a longer basis, I mean, pretty much every altcoin is going to go to zero against Bitcoin.
Yeah, there are only a handful of alts that are trending upwards on a long enough time frame. One of which is still ETH, by the way. Just saying.
For now.
But for now, might change in the future. But Doge is another one. FTM for the past 5 years have been, is still higher against BTC. Obviously, currently everything is oversold against it, but and that doesn't mean it cannot keep going down. And I think nobody is pretty much arguing with the fact that BTC is the safe asset here. I think we can all agree on that. And yeah, as Thomas said, all BTC pairs are mostly about timing. I still think the time will come when individual alts will keep on outperforming through the years against Bitcoin, because I think the thesis of it will be used, and I think the new thesis of this market and this industry and its actually use case for the world will be there and will keep on rising. So I think that will change in the future, just like it has changed with stocks. Because if you're gonna look 100 years ago, lots of stocks trending downwards against gold or bonds all the time, and everyone was comparing it back then to it too, as well, just like everyone is comparing, alts to Bitcoin right now, and that's absolutely valid take. But I think it will change in the future.
I think Doge looks good here, guys. Not to totally shift gears, but Doge has been a pretty premier, speaking of Bitcoin beta this cycle. Like, Doge has performed incredibly well.
Again, sorry, Max. Again, just factually wrong. Even Solana, in its current prices, is still higher against Bitcoin than Bitcoin. So not true. The same goes for XRP. The same goes for Doge. Still pretty much. Even right now it's not that far from the lows, but still higher.
Even Pepe, probably.
Even Pepe, of course.
Even Pepe, yeah. Even Pepe down 80% has still outperformed Bitcoin by 3x this cycle.
Yeah.
If you bought, in late 2023, 2024 when we were buying. So, I mean, that's what a lot of people, I think, well, for one, some people obviously bought much later, but I still feel like the people that are like early followers of ours that are just like still hanging in there, cool. They're like, yeah, we're still like way outperforming Bitcoin. Like, it's really not that bad. Like, what more can you really ask for?
You really had to be a good ticker picker.
Yeah.
You did. You honestly did, because there's a lot of stuff. And that was the thing, man. Like, especially people that got into crypto, this cycle over the last 2 years, like, there was a lot of garbage being thrown out there, man. And it was very hard to distinguish between the lasting projects and your fly-by-night meme coins and stuff like that. But if you were a good ticker picker, you're still up multiples off the lows. Like, your portfolio should be up multiples of over where it was in 2022, if you were actually here then, right? But you had to be a good picker, right? You had to pick the right things and stick with the right things and rotate as well. And it probably wasn't easy for people to do. Most people got caught up in a lot of the noise, and they ended up buying garbage. And they're not doing well.
People over rotated, like they couldn't stick with plays. They still can't stick with plays.
No one can.
What they did is they were every week trying to chase the new thing, right? Instead of just being like, you know what, I'm gonna like have my picks, stick to them, find people that'll stick to their plays, dabble with them. They started gambling, over rotating, pump funning, going crazy on chain, the Solana trenches, whatever you want to call it. They lost 95% of their net worth, and then they started levering up and they lost the other 5%.
Yeah.
Like, if you still have money, even if it's down 70% or 80% from your high in December, you're most likely going to run that thing back in a big way, because actually most people got completely cleaned out.
Yeah, you're doing decently well, believe it or not. If you have stuff left.
I think Doge looks good here, guys. I really do.
I agree.
Another one that's up there, BNB against BTC. If we put in the chart, Max, if you can put it on, outperforming Bitcoin since the beginning. Like zoom out even more, zoom out, and it's just up only through the cycles. And obviously you will have so it's factually wrong that stuff isn't outperforming Bitcoin. ETH against Bitcoin, again, higher through the years. Obviously, you will have, multiple years in which these alts underperform. And I understand it's very hard to pick some, if at all, that will outperform through the years forward. But it's not impossible, and it's not true that it's not happening. And
this chart looks really good, Jackus, by the way. This looks really bullish.
Binance looks like it's going to pop any day now. It really does.
Again, still, like, these guys like to argue while being factually wrong. So I will just factually take you down, because, all right, someone from Wall Street will look at it and say, oh my God, you had to full port Bitcoin while all you had to do is just pick NVIDIA with way lower risk. Boom. You're wrong again. So yeah, there is always this move, what you want to pick, right? and you could have picked Nvidia, and you would outperform Bitcoin very much so through the 2022 lows while taking lower risk. So you can always pick something. There is always a better play. It's not about picking. It's about it's not about going all in onto something. You want to pick the bet at the right time on BTC, on XRP, on Nvidia, and so forth. Generally picking stuff that you find to have the most value, and you essentially do not know ahead which one of these it will be. But on the overall, you will win and outperform.
I mean, look, here's the deal is that most people, unless you have a lot of time to commit to this game, probably should just buy like Bitcoin and ETH on Coinbase or Robinhood and like don't self-custody and just hold it as they would a stock, right? But I think what we're talking about is for people that have active, I would say like intermediate, at least intermediate skill and have been in crypto for a couple years, right? You've maybe been through part of a cycle. You understand how to like send assets and buy stuff on chain, like those type of people. There have been plenty of opportunities to outperform Bitcoin, even if others' dominance has been down and ETH BTC has been down. I'm up multiples against Bitcoin. And by the way, I haven't sold a damn thing. Like I am down so bad right now from December. It's disgusting. But I'm still up this cycle, like multiples against Bitcoin, right? And I mean, the past few months have been tough, but it's like, if you know how to play altcoins and you don't let your emotions get the best of you and you don't go chasing a bunch of garbage and you stay off the leverage, it's totally realistic to outperform Bitcoin even when like the basket is not outperforming, right? And we have a lot of pair charts that show that that is possible. But I also think it's probably fair to assume that most people are beginners and most people should probably just like buy a little, even buy the Bitcoin ETFs and just like put them in their 401ks, right? And just hold them.
Yeah.
But that's not who we're talking about. We're not talking about
exactly.
that person.
And I mean, at the end of the day, right, like for some people, the risk curve of just BTC and ETH will be too much too. And in that case, you just want to buy SPX. And for some people, the volatility of SPX will be too much and you just want to buy bonds. So it's always about like finding where your risk profile is and fitting into that narrative.
Yeah.
And we're not a beginner channel either. You know, like the stuff we're talking about is slightly higher level than your average, you know, YouTube crypto channel, right? Like
we've never catered towards the beginner. And that's kind of by design, as we let other people like onboard the beginner into crypto. They're better at that. They make much more like beginner friendly content. We've never focused on that, right? And by the way, I've had a lot of people say like, hey, you need to make more beginner friendly content. And I'm like, it's just not authentic to like who we are, right? We make content that we like and hopefully people are receptive to it and it's helpful. But we're catering to a little bit more of like an advanced audience, right? And that's always how it's been. So it's like, you know,
I just imagine how we on the stream are describing. So you see, this is a big high, and that means that during that time period, price traded all the way 1 to 100, and that's how that big high was created. And this is high, low, and close.
Yeah. Or like the, you know, how to use like what is MACD, what is RSI, like that kind of stuff. That's not
too advanced, man.
That's not what we do, man. You know, and by the way, we sacrifice a lot of growth because we don't make content like that. And there's nothing wrong with content like that. It's actually super important. Like when I was learning how to trade, I watched that type of stuff. But, you know, you have to, you know, most of the people that watch this show, most of you guys, you might have full-time jobs. You're probably at your desk, you know, or on your phone, you know, part of the crypto asset class like 4 or 5 hours a day. You know, it's basically a second job for a lot of you guys if you're not already doing it full time. That's kind of our content, you know, people that take it really seriously.
And I think that's why we get a lot of kickback too, because, you know, a lot of people that follow us, you know what, have a good idea and know what they're talking about. You know, like if we were just catering to beginners, like you know, people would just like believe us and that's it, you know, and that's why we get a lot of pushback as well, which is fine. You know, it's an open conversation.
Dude, look at Doge ETH. This thing looks so bullish, honestly.
Yeah, so many
Yes,
stuff
Doge
to
should be ready,
lose.
man. I like Doge where it's at. But like you've said previously, Max, like, why buy Doge when you could just buy Pepe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like
That's
I traded Doge very well, like the end of last year, early this year. That was like a great trade for me. It does have glimmers of outperformance when it goes on a ripper.
But see, Louis, it's the same thing that we were just talking about. And this is not something that I'm doing. The reason to buy Doge over Pepe is the same reason you would buy Bitcoin over altcoins or the S&P over Bitcoin, right? It just is what you are willing to, like, what you can stomach.
Yeah.
You can always adjust your size, but a lot of people are probably looking at Pepe. I mean, bro, look at this. Like, this is exactly the reason why, right? So we'll look at Pepe here. And we'll add Doge right here. New pane. Actually, let's put it up here. And we'll put a line chart on and merge into one on the right. And then we'll go percentage. And then we'll go green for Pepe. Now let's go back to this recent pullback, right? Why can I not? Oh, there we go. Okay. So from this pullback, right, you can see that from the high, Pepe's down more. They moved together right here. Let me actually change this color. They moved together, right? So like Pepe green, Doge is in gold. It's like some people just don't want to deal with like the beta, right? Which I totally get. Like it can be scary. I can rewind it over here. Come on. Same thing for this this pullback that happened in August, right? You can see how they move really similarly, but Pepe nukes a lot harder when it nukes, and some people just don't want to deal with that. So you can kind of tighten up your risk parameters a little bit. But again, it's not like you could just hold Pepe and then like reduce your size, and solve the problem that way. But
Yeah, the beta works both ways.
Guys, we were charting some pair that is tradable, and I think it's a major on Binance. And I cannot remember which one it was, but it looked really beautiful. It was
Link ETH.
Link ETH. It was okay. That's the one.
I was thinking about that about 20 minutes ago, actually.
I can't stop staring at the link chart.
I couldn't
Ooh.
remember which one was it, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to find it because that one looked really good."
I think
Link.
Link
Look
is
at
going to
that.
explode.
It looks
I mean,
really good.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm not sure if you were around, Max. Were you when we were
No,
discussing
this
one?
is I haven't
Yeah.
looked at this pair before.
Yeah, it looks really amazing, and I think it has a fundamental reasoning too, and I think it's the RWAs, RVAs. Not sure how you guys pronounce it, but that one is going to be a big narrative coming in. I think tokenizing, real world stuff makes so much fundamental sense to me, and given that this chart is looking like this is telling. And Link USD also held up really well. Like lots of charts are down below their August 5th lows of last year. Link isn't even on the USD pair. So I think there will be better outperformers potentially because Link is alpha, obviously. But there could be something to this.
You remember how Link led the bull market?
Imagine.
It was like the first one off of the 2023 range.
It was in the prior cycle too. I thought you meant prior cycle, but then I
No, like right here. Like
yeah,
it
that's
kicked
true.
off our bull market in October 2023.
I wrote that one.
Yeah, Link's actually one of the only tokens I've been considering selling, some XRP and swapping it into Link. Right? Because like Jack has said, there's definitely stuff that's going to outperform it. But like if you're looking at one high cap to another high cap, like XRP and Link, like I think, there might be just from where Link's sitting and where XRP is sitting, I think there might be a good risk reward more, on Link versus XRP. And that like like I wouldn't swap like Pepe for Link, you know, because I think Pepe will highly outperform Link, but like another high cap that you're holding that's in profit. I think, you know, the pair chart doesn't look great, but probably getting close to a bottom, in my opinion.
Not yet sure I'm bullish on Link XRP chart just yet, Bluey.
Yeah,
just
I looked at
checking
it this
right
morning.
now. Yeah,
I feel like
just,
you could get really bullish on it if it reclaims this level right here.
Yeah, it needs to round bottom here. So like it could be at the bottom, but it will take its time. And that I think is still telling us that XRP has more to go.
Could
so
just
like,
be like this.
yeah. Something like that could be, but we need to see it first.
It's worth watching. It's worth setting some alerts on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think Link's going to do well.
It's just
I mean,
like
it
one
could
of
even
those
just be
tokens where every time I think about taking a long on something like Link, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it could outperform ETH. Obviously, I'm, thinking that a lot of these things are about to put in some pretty large bounces. So Link could be a big outperformer, especially now that like stable coins seem to be getting, I feel like more and more. There's like way more hype around stable coins and kind of like that TradFi intermingling, right? We've seen Curve outperforming, so I think you have some like fairly obvious catalysts for ETH DeFi to perform here over the next few weeks, next few months. But man, actually like buying Link.
I know it sounds scary, but again, if you look at the chart, it's the only, or not the only one, but very few ones that held its November 24 low still. Like you do not have that many charts out there that has done it.
This is an interesting chart. So this is Link XRP. I mean, even just moving up to this trend line is like a 250% move. If you end up breaking out at some point, and like let's say you go back to the highs, like from here, and again, I wouldn't shove it here, but like there's a huge, 1300%, right? I don't like it here quite yet, but if things start to turn and XRP holds up, right? Link against ETH. Oh, not what I wanted to do. Come on. Link USDT. I mean, maybe price discovery. Wow, look at that.
I honestly think Link could trade at new all-time highs before the end of this year.
I agree. And that's like what, like a 3x from here?
I bet you lots of people will not be interested because they'll be like, that's only 3x, whatever.
4x.
4x,
Yeah.
of course. 300% 4x.
And that's like a bag, like you like similar to Doge. Like you could just size into Link and like sleep well at night, knowing it's not going to get rugged, but still
I prefer to not sleep at night.
Yeah. But I mean, like there should be like you should have certain portions of your portfolio that has stuff like this, you know. I don't know. I've always kind of felt that way, you know, and that's done well for me. You know, that's what's kept me in the game since 2022. Like people talking a lot about Bitcoin, how just holding Bitcoin was better. Like from the lows, like a majority of my bag was Bitcoin from 17.5K all the way up into 60 to 70K range, right? Same thing with XRP, right? That whole time where I wasn't really doing much was a large portion of XRP. And then I had the rest of my portfolio and the Pepes and all your beta stuff. But having a good portion of your portfolio in stuff like this is what keeps you in the game. Like you're not going to lose 80, 90% of your portfolio on stuff like this if you're buying it at the right times, you know? And then you take that other small portion of your portfolio and you play with your more speculative bets, right? And as time goes on and we get, the market picks up, sure, then you take from those higher caps and you skim profits as you go up and you take more money and you dabble down the risk curve. But there should always be a portion of your portfolio that has stuff like this that's way more stable, but still has, you know, multiples of upside potential. Like that. That's just a no-brainer to me. And that's just portfolio management 101.
So you're saying
Yeah.
you shouldn't have your entire net worth in fart coin, Louis?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, some
Fart coin.
people prefer not to sleep at nights. Like, are you even in crypto if you are sleeping?
Yeah. I mean, you should wake up in a state of panic every morning.
Wait, you guys are sleeping?
I haven't slept in years.
I feel great.
Hype kind of looks interesting
Louis,
here.
I need to know, when your child wakes you up during night, do you check your phone price?
Yeah, I wake up to crying baby and
Then Louis starts crying because price is so bad.
I wake up to crying baby and red prices.
And then his wife wakes up to him crying, not the
Yeah.
baby.
Oh my god. The cycle of crying.
Yeah. Hype doesn't look bad here. Kind of a little bottom,
No,
like double bottom. Might need to re-add that, guys.
I was
It's
looking
gonna
at it
go
this morning.
one of two ways, in my opinion. You're either gonna get the DYDX fractal where every bounce just gets sold into forever, or it's Jackus. I know you've been kind of prospecting that AVAX price action for something like Pepe, but I could see it playing out here for Hyperliquid potentially. Not that I would be willing to get super bowled up on it before you get a market structure break of like 16 or 17.
You wanna see a sell of here sub $10, seeing it being absorbed, and then it can play out. But I think hype goes slower from here first.
I'm not punting Hyperliquid here personally.
I mean, the way it's sitting at those lows, it's begging to go lower. The downtrend is clear. And usually it wants to go first below all those lows before turning around. So just my 2 cents. I'd be patient with it and wait for lower, or as you said, reclaim for higher levels.
Yeah, if you
And
get
that-
above that green box and you start to climb, it's probably the bottom.
I wouldn't even consider it above that green box. It would have to go higher than that.
Yeah, I mean that would just be the start. You know, like if you see nice demand at this low, and then you continue to climb, you know, there's a chance. But I would agree, it's not worth the risk right now. Like this is something I was buying, you know, in this green box, and then I got out just because it wasn't worth the risk. Because you also kind of have that exchange, you know, that I don't think anything's going to happen to hype, like the exchange itself. I think it's going to be fine, but you still also have that added risk where it's like, if you're buying the token, it's constantly getting attacked. And plus you have the risk of having your money on that exchange to buy that token. I feel like it's like a double risk where like, even if this is the low, there's just a little too much risk for my liking, you know, from what we've been seeing.
I think if we were to use this fractal, then it's sort of like June 2021.
For which ticker?
For AVAX. June 2021.
Like
that low. Right. That June 2021 low.
Yeah. What about it?
Not the total one, the left one, the middle one. Sorry.
This is the middle one, isn't it?
No, there's one next to it on the left that you had before.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I see right there.
Yeah, I would tend to think that it could be there.
You know what's interesting is that was at $13 as well.
Interesting.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Time to throw a fractal on there. See how she looks.
Playing the same levels, right?
So it'd be like,
I think you need to erase that big drop that you had at the beginning there, maybe.
Around, yeah. I mean, it won't be perfect, but like this.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
This is what the chef is looking for.
Yeah. Sort of. Yeah, I think. Did it hit sub $10 AVAX back there?
950.
I like it.
He likes it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of nice. And like I also see if we want to talk about support, right? Like you dip just a little bit below it. And for hype, it would be like, you know, sentiment would be cooked over there.
Cooked.
I could see it. I don't really care though, either way. But I can see it.
Yeah, I just think catching a knife here is at least not my preferred way to trade it. I want to see market structure break or clear signs of reaccumulation. I mean, because let's be honest, like we've seen DEX tokens that have airdropped a significant amount of the supply. DYDX, for example, I mean, it went down like 95, 98% before it bottomed. I'm not going to be the knife catcher, even if it means I just have to buy back like, maybe 30% higher from here.
No, I definitely wouldn't be buying that sub $10 drop either. I would wait for more clarity, but something like that.
Still love the protocol though. I still use it like all the time. So
Yep.
I am a bull by proxy on Hyperliquid kind of at all times. Just have no idea what the token's going to do.
I would love it, man, if it were like so simple as like you actually like something and it actually goes up, rather than like the stuff you don't like you have to buy, and then the stuff you like you can't buy because it's down only.
Yeah, many such cases.
Many such cases, not always, but like BTC is for sure nice one to buy, and maybe not currently, but on the overall it's going up. But yeah.
What do you guys think about Circle trying to IPO this month, or rather in April?
I think this year and next year are going to be the year of the crypto IPO. We're going to see it a lot.
You think that that will be a tailwind for base coins here over the next like 30 days?
Dude,
They try
Coinbase is listing a bunch of stuff on Base, man. Like
They are.
the base nepotism is very real right now.
They're delisting a ton of coins on other chains. They're not listing things like Fartcoin, for example, on Solana, but they are listing like these bottom of the barrel scams for Coinbase. Which I'm not going to complain about because hashtag my bags. But I kind of feel like we see some Coinbase window dressing maybe into that IPO so that it can kind of IPO or launch at as high of a valuation as possible, just like Coin did before kind of going down only for effectively like a year and a half.
I don't really have any firm opinions about Circle. I saw that news this morning, but I mean, I think it's just going to become a lot more normalized to see like crypto companies doing IPOs. I wouldn't be buying them. I'd rather just own crypto. Or, I mean, I know Circle is just a stable coin, right? But I think it's more about what it represents than like it actually being like a buy or a sell, But I mean, I think it's cool.
I don't love that TradFi can like short the primary issuer of USDC personally, now that I'm thinking about it. But I guess we'll just kind of have to see how everything plays out.
I mean, all they're gonna do is just buy like T-bills, right? Like what are they shorting? It's basically gonna be like buying a bond or something.
It's probably gonna trade as like beta to coin, if I had to guess.
But like, what do they even make? Where's their money come from? Like, where's their revenue come from?
You reminded me of that meme. Does he even have real money?
It's some things are better left unsaid for the sake of our industry.
Well, how they're
like, is it gonna trade like a bond? Like, do they just park it in government debt? Like what?
I mean, how does USDC make money?
No, I'm talking about USDC. Do you mean USDT?
No, USDC, because USDC is what Circle issues.
Yeah.
So like they'll probably make money just lending and doing normal bank things, but probably higher risk since I imagine most of the lending will be crypto related.
So it's basically like a high leveraged, high yield bank. What
Probably.
you're
Well,
investing in.
Tether like makes billions of dollars.
Well,
Like,
I know. I'm saying like, but the way they make billions of dollars is primarily through owning government debt that pays them 4 or 5% APY. So it's
and
like,
owning
are you
owning
just
Bitcoin.
basically buying like a 10-year? Like, what are you even investing in? Outside of that, where do they make money?
You're buying a publicly traded, treasury.
I'm actually asking, like, I'm not trying to be like a smartass. I'm like, what are
Yeah,
you
no.
even investing in? Like, you're investing in like
The
something
growth
you
of
can just go and buy.
stablecoins and digital dollars, probably. So like
Yeah.
you're probably, you see, for example, USDT total market cap, USDC total market cap, those things have been like rising, I think. Probably just kind of investing in the growth of that continuing.
It's also like the backbone of crypto as a whole, like in my opinion.
Okay, my crime fractal is not playing out. Now I'm pissed off.
I feel like Trump
We'll
could
just
just be replaying what Doge did after it topped in 2021. But I also think that means it's due for a bounce.
I think again, Trump is bottomed the moment Sol is bottomed, and the fractal might not be like precise, but generally these levels should be good.
I mean, it could just be doing a speed run of this, I guess, like what Tommy said. We could be literally like down here,
Yeah. I think it might be closer to like July or June for Doge, to be honest.
So like right here, right in the middle.
No, like 2021.
Wait, sorry, what 20? Oh, you're talking about pre-pump. You're talking about
No, I mean like post pump.
wait,
Summer 2021. So like I feel like you're probably going to get some big bounce, some more chop.
in here. Oh my.
Not quite that 2021. Yeah, and that's a little range right there.
I don't know if I agree with that just due to like raw percentage pullback. So here, let me. So if we're looking at like how much both were down at the time, that summer range for Doge, it was only down, 50 to 60% right here. Trump's already down, 87%, which is like a lot more akin to Doge being in like a bear market, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I just don't have too much optimism on Sol meme coins, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
would
can't
agree
disagree with you there.
If it wasn't Trump token,
If I didn't think it had the chance to be the #1 crime ticker of this cycle, I wouldn't touch it. But I genuinely think if there's a ticker out there that's going to have so much crime right in front of you, no one's going to do shit about it, it's this ticker.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong, right? Just an idea. All right, well, we could probably wrap the show up, huh, boys? We're getting to that time.
I think that's a good spot for it. Around an hour 20, hour 30. It's like Jack said last week. Sometimes we have like, I feel like these slow responses at early in the show, and then we still end up going for an hour and a half basically every day. So Max, are you pulling up the terminal?
I can. Yeah, I can. Give me a second. All right, we're up.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed the show today, maybe you're looking to hear a little bit more from the analysts. Maybe you are looking for some of our offerings that help us trade on a daily, weekly, monthly, and longer term basis. We've got a few things to show you here at the end of the show, starting with what Max has pulled up on the screen. That is the BB terminal. Whether or not you are an active trader trading lower time frames, open interest data, as you can see, we have a lot of things relating to order flow to be able to help you make some of these more sudden decisions. Maybe you are a long-term investor looking for data that can help drive long-term decision making. And just really have syndicated, historically speaking, pretty exceptional amounts of data that impacts Bitcoin, altcoins, etc. We've got the tool for you, and soon we will have our degen feature as well for our on-chain traders, for our meme coiners, for our AI agent speculators, really whatever the flavor of the month is for on-chain. We will soon have the tool for you as well with our degen tab, guys. So make sure to check out the BB terminal, like Max has been displaying, and we'll continue to show. Even though I'm going to keep talking about a few other of our of our offerings, such as the Discord. If you liked what you heard today, or really any other show, and you're interested in getting more analysis from the team or a particular analyst, come join our Discord. We get 4 to 5 hours of calls every single day talking about our thoughts on the market, and of course, at times, even our positioning. If you guys are looking to hone your educational base or even reach trading level mastery, we've got the BB Academy as well. So you can come learn from the team, even if you don't want to join the Discord, or even if you do want to join the Discord and you just kind of want a more intimate setting to be able to learn from us. We have that as well. But last, certainly not least, we also have an SEC registered hedge fund, BB Wealth Management, where we look to trade digital assets in a way that captures their asymmetric history for upside returns while also balancing any downside risk posed in financial markets. But that is it from us, guys. We hope that you enjoyed Market Check. If anything that I said over the last 90 seconds resonated with you, come check out the description below the video. But otherwise, we will be back for another episode tomorrow at 11 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are live Monday through Friday, whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. But make sure as well to tune in for Market Talk with King Wabi. That is an X Spaces hosted through the Because Bitcoin account, as well as from Wabi's account as well. And yeah, he is live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure to tune in for that if you are looking for a great way to kind of wrap up your day. But that's it from us, guys. Like I said, we hope that you enjoyed the show. We'll be back for another one tomorrow. In the meantime, though, thank you again, as always. It's a big week. We're going to continue to break it down for you on these shows. And of course, stay safe.